We're back in the Hype Cave with my brother, man. Family right here. Porta Rich, CMD Zone. You already know, man. What's up, Rich? Talk to the people, man.
Congratulations, my brother. Congratulations, man. You know, it's a beautiful thing, man, just to see you back in a certain space, you know what I mean? And it's more of like your space, you know what I mean? More of like your passions, you know what I mean? Because I know kind of like, you know, what you explained to me, what you're doing with this. It's good to see you back, man. Congratulations to you.
Thanks for pulling up, man. I appreciate you.
I already know, it's a given.
So, man, listen, let's take it back from like the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Porta Rich. You know, when I first caught wind of you years ago, I'm like, Porta Rich. So I'm thinking, off top, I was thinking, all right, Puerto Rico. Like, how did the name come about? And you spell it differently, so it ain't like on no, like, you know what I mean? It's spelled different than Porter, like if you was to say Puerto Rico.
Right. The name actually came from DJ N Live. God bless his soul, rest in peace. You know, to the legendary DJ N Live. My first rap name, my first artist name, to be honest, when me and my brother was, you know, trying to get our own little thing off the ground, my first rap name was Tearshed. And it was based off just, you know, me being through like, you know, coming up in the struggle and dealing with like a lot of trauma young, losing a lot of my friends. And I never really could, you know, when I started losing homies like that was getting killed crazy, I never understood it. I used to cry, I used to kind of like be emotional where I shed tears and stuff like that. And my brother thought that was like, you know, just a dope joint to run with, whatever. And at first it was cool, I was running with it, but then I think a little later when we started like doing stuff with we met DJ Ant Live through another mutual homie that we grew up with, you know, who had a studio and we was trying to get some stuff done. And Live came up with the name Porta Rich. And he was like, I think this would be dope. You know, because again, I was getting kind of like, I didn't really like the first name too much after a while. I was like, no, I want to do something better and whatever, where I'm trying to go with it. I'm trying to grow as an artist. And when Ant came with the Porta Rich thing, it was like, and at first, for real, I didn't really, because Ant was thinking like Puerto Rico, just what you just said.
Okay.
Ant was thinking like Puerto Rico. And I didn't like it because I didn't want to be just for Puerto Ricans.
You didn't want to get stuck in a box.
I didn't, and I wanted to be universal. Like, don't get me wrong, you know, Puerto Rican 123%, right? You know what I mean? And love it to death. But I'm for everybody. You know what I mean? I'm for everybody. I love everybody. You know what I mean? And I wanted to make music for everybody. I wanted everybody to be able to embrace my music and, you know, get whatever they could get from it. So I didn't really like the Porta Rich because Ant Live only had that one look and view on the name. Like, no, you know, you Puerto Rico, you repping your people, you know what I'm saying? Your name Rich. And I slept on it. And when I slept on it, I started kind of like doing my own math to the breakdown, to my own breakdowns to it. Like I'm the one that looked at my name and said, yo, poor to rich is the common like goal and mission for everybody that's coming out of places like where I come from poverty. You know, the goal is to come up. The goal is to like, you know, lead you and your family to better, you know what I mean, in a better lifestyle. So once I came up with that, and it had the Puerto Rico flavor to it, you know, it got Rich in it because that's my name. It also kind of like represents, you know, just where I'm from, whatever, homeland and all that. But at the same, you know, and it had the flip-flop with the Rich Porter thing. I used to get that a lot, where people would flip it to the infamous and legendary Rich Porter from out of Harlem. You know what I mean? God bless his soul. And I just ended up like, no, I got my own breakdown to it. It's from poverty to wealth. It represents that. I represent my people at the same time, you know, and my name Rich, you know what I mean? My name Rich, and I, you know, people started really like embracing it as well. So once it stuck, we just kept running with it.
Now I know you got the, you know, the label, the company, ITD, intent to distribute. You want to break that down, like how that?
Just came from, you know, just turning a negative to a positive. If everybody know what intent to do, if you're a street person and you come from the streets, you had runs in the street, you know, street life. That's what they used to charge us with since I was like 12, 13 when I first fell into the streets as far as like selling drugs, because I started out in the streets, not, you know, just doing other shit before selling drugs. But once I started selling drugs, we was getting locked up. That was the charge. Possession with CDS with intent to distribute. You know, so my brother, shout out to Polak Mikey, he actually was incarcerated with a person who, the person gave my brother the name because they knew my brother rapped and they knew we was on some rap shit for a long time, you know, in our community. And this person that I don't really know, but thank you to him if he's out there, right? Thank you, we appreciate you. And he gave the name to my brother and was like, yo, this should be a crazy name for like a label. And my brother called me one day and he was like, yo, I think if, you know, we're gonna go with the music stuff, this what we need to go with, you know. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, well, at first I was like, you know, because are we gonna ruffle feathers as far as the law go and with certain people? But we wasn't, because we turned it into Intent to Distribute Entertainment. It's Intent to Distribute Entertainment, and then we also have Intent to Distribute Records as the alternate name, because we do music and we do films and all of that. You know, it's just entertainment, period. But yeah, that's where it came from, man. ITD Entertainment. It's like, now this is the new wave. We took a negative, turned it to a positive. Now we push music, we push, you know, films, and it's the same agenda, it's the same goal, the intent to distribute. You know, and it fits every hustler. Any hustler who got any brand, any product, any service out there, your intention is to distribute it to the masses or have it distributed by, you know, whoever you can link with and whatever help you may get. So we ran with it, and now, you know, we got the merch. Of course, we got Intent to Distribute apparel, you know, to kind of like just show love and pay tribute to the distributors all over the world.
Where I remember, like the first time I actually heard you rap, like I heard the name floating around.
Yeah.
I remember when I first heard you spit, was on the early Peedi Crakk mixtapes.
Yeah.
The Crack Files.
Yeah, shout out to Crack.
You had a joint, I forget which one it was, but it was one of the mixtapes. You opened up the tape. Let's say it's Ant Live introduced you and you just went in.
Yeah.
And then it was another joint. It was the best of Peedi. It was like the Artist Spotlight.
Yeah, Artist Spotlight series.
Red bucket on his head, and you did the Calmate joint. And I think Mikey and Crack was on that record, the Calmate joint.
Yeah, Mikey did have, it was another version of the Calmate eventually, and I think we ended up kind of like just taking Mikey verse off and doing another version just for like, because Mikey wasn't doing music. Mikey was like still in the streets, getting in trouble, you know, just living kind of like his life or whatever. And, you know, we just wanted to kind of like still run with the record, be able to like do shows or whatever. So I think we ended up just making another version where it was just me and Crack verse on there. But you're right, Calmate was definitely like the first joint I did.
I remember the joint, he was like, these motherfuckers better calm down. I'm about to drop these bombs now. We from that small town where we keep that raw around.
Weed and diesel.
Yeah, that was that shit.
The root of
How
evil.
did that impact you, like, as far as like you coming up, you being from Camden, doing a record with Peedi? Like, what did that do for your career?
Oh no, it was major. It was major, man. Again, shout to Crack. You know, I'll forever love Peedi for that. I'll forever love Ant Live for it. You know, God bless his soul. You know, Ant called me, told me he had a rapper from Philly around the corner at the studio, and he told me who it was. I was already like a fan of Peedi Crakk. I already knew he was like young Puerto Rican coming up from out of North Philly. I thought he was super. I still think he's, you know what I mean, one of the most fire artists that I've kind of like ever heard, you know, especially like them tapes you talking about, them projects you talking about.
Those are timeless.
Yeah, I know why they went crazy and why, you know, they did what they did for him. But yeah, he definitely, me and Crack met and we just hit it off, man. You know, Camden and Philly, man, it's a lot of like, you know, I get it, the goofy stuff go down online sometimes where people get to like just talking trash and, you know what I mean, over the shit. But very similar, a lot of like, when I met Crack, we hit it off, we had a lot in common, and wasn't too long before we ended up doing stuff like Calmate in the studio. And then, you know, when I was locked up, I was still getting in trouble. I still had one foot in the streets, to be honest, you know, and like one foot trying to do music. And I was getting incarcerated and shit like that. And I think I was in the halfway house, and I came home from the halfway house on like a furlough. And Ant Live was like, yo, here, do something over this beat, over this freestyle. I'm gonna put it on, you know, I'm gonna talk to Crack and I'm gonna see if Crack, you know, allow it, you know, to be on his tape, like an intro. And that's what we ended up doing. I think I rocked over the old Paid in Full.
Yeah, I think it was a Paid in Full.
Instrumental, yeah, you know what I mean? And I rocked over that and it went crazy. And then I ended up doing like another acapella freestyle on like the Crack, I think it was the Crack Files Volume 2. I'm on Crack Files Volume 2 and 3 or 1 and 2, if I ain't mistaken.
Okay, I remember when Ant Live, I used to, like I knew somebody that had a music, like a mixtape spot at the, it used to be the Pensacola Mart. And Ant, that's how I actually met Ant. like I would, we would come, cross paths like at different events. But when I was going hard with the mixtapes and the DVDs, he was one of the guys like, yo, you need to get with my artist that I'm working with named Porta Rich, and he sent me a joint to put on the mixtape. And I did it on the strength of him. I didn't know you, so I was like, all right, I'll put it on there. You know what I mean? And even then, it's crazy because I remember me and Ed Live. I had just met him. He was like, yo, I'm gonna shout you out because he knew I was working on Hype DVD.
Right.
He was like, I'm gonna shout you out on the Crack Files. I think it was part 3, I believe. And I was a huge fan of Peedi. I still am. But at that time, I remember he was like, people always, one thing, rest in peace, Ed, because I always respect about him, and like not a lot of people keep their word. And he was like, yo, I'm gonna shout you out, I'm gonna give you a nice little plug on when I do my drops. And when I purchased the mixtape, I actually got the mixtape somewhere else, and I bought the mixtape, and I'm listening to it, and I'm just, just vibing to it. And when he says, yo, big shout out to Mr. Hype DVD, bro, I thought I made it.
Right.
I mean,
no, that's
I ain't even gonna lie, yo, to be on the Crack Files tape.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And Crack was like, you couldn't tell me nothing about Peedi.
And Live a legend in this area, man. And Live a legend in this area. Man. What he's done was legendary, so I get why you would feel like that. And that's love. That's love to just mention that, you know what I'm saying? And the same thing when I met No Frills. You was already shaking as a young component and a young, just element of this South Jersey hip-hop thing that we had going, just trying to create a scenery for ourselves, because I remember going over to official street radio with And Live, and shout out to No Frills, shout out to DJ No Frills, Philly's finest. And we doing our interview, we rapping, we doing everything we supposed to be doing. And he came out of nowhere and was like, listen, he was like, I appreciate you coming up here. He was like, Philly gonna ride for you, we got love. You know what I mean? He was like, but I wanna let you know though, you a Jersey artist. He was like, and you shaking, you moving, you doing what you doing, you trying to get it off the ground. He was like, and it's a Jersey person that you need to get with that's over there. He's doing what I pretty much same thing I do over in Jersey with the music, with the artists, with the hip hop. And he was like, you gotta go get with Mr. Hype. And that's when I was like, Mr. Hype? And that was my first time really like hearing your name, man. He was like, yeah, man, you gotta go get with Mr. Hype. And me, I'm the type person like, and that's one of the things I'm grateful for, that I always just went with my gut. And I always was like, when I got certain pieces of information since the beginning, I was aggressive about doing it. And sticking to that script when somebody gave me good advice, or pointed me in a certain direction. Right. So when he told me about Mr. Hype, I went and hunted you down. We eventually, made the connect, made the contact, and it's been history ever since, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. Shout out to Frills, man. I got a lot of love for Frills and Philly, man. On one of my interviews I did, I was talking about how like Philly embraced me when I was like trying to reach out to artists.
Right.
It was a point though, and I don't even think I really spoke about this on camera, but Philly kind of almost embraced me more than Jersey at one point. When I was first kicking off the Mr. Hype brand and everything, it was like Philly was, they was like with it. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because they do say sometimes it takes for you to like, go out of your comfort zone for them, you know what I'm saying, for you to get the love, and then the love will reciprocate back home. But
all the names you mentioned, when we was just off camera having a little conversation, and you mentioned like the Reed Dollars, the Cicero, and just the Nessons and all the people you've worked with from Philly. I mean, it speaks for itself.
So, you would say like Ant Live obviously had a big impact in your career.
For sure. Ant Live was, Ant Live was a great person, man. A great person that just, nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? None of us are perfect, and me and Ant Live used to bump into our little issues, but for the most part, Ant Live helped pioneer my career, along with DJ Active. Special shout out to DJ Active, that's my brother. Active showed love, when Ant Live was trying to bring me out and do stuff. Active jumped on the projects, he jumped on the cover, put his picture on the cover, he scratched my projects up, you know what I mean? So, they definitely started my career. They didn't play a part. They started my career, as far as DJ and Live and Active being two of the main people that was trying to push me.
So you being born and raised from Camden, do you feel like the music scene, with certain artists like yourself, have gotten their fair share? Cause you got Philly right there, and then you got, obviously you go up north, you got, Jersey City, you got Newark, then you hit New York. It's like, Camden's so small, do you feel like it gets overlooked a lot?
To To a certain extent, maybe, right? Because we don't really have like, it's like kind of like North Jersey, how they say North Jersey got to tap into New York, South Jersey got to tap into Philly, because we don't really, never really had a crazy music scene as far as Jersey go. But at the same time though, I've gotten a lot of love. I think it depends also on the work you put in, the work you decide to put in, and how dedicated you decide to be and devoted you decide to be into getting your craft out to the people, and I've got things, to be honest, that I haven't been able to do. And I don't blame anybody for that. It's something that I got to take accountability for, as far as just me and my craft and my dream. But I've gotten a lot of love. For me to be a person I've had a job the whole time I've been doing music. I had no choice. I was older. I was a late bloomer when I started doing music. For me to like quit my job, I got children, bills, family, the whole nine. And it's always been like that since I started. So for me to be able to like do certain things, like I just feel I haven't been able to like move around the way an artist probably needs to move around in music, to get themselves in these other places that you're not in and get that exposure, expose yourself to new markets and new people. I feel as though for me, I haven't really been able to do that, but it's no blame to nobody else. That's just something that I take accountability for, because I made the decision to just, stay working, stay at my job. And when the day come, if that's what God got planned for me to be able to go ahead and clip my wings and, take that leap of faith, like I would do it, but it gotta make sense. Again, no nothing coming for my kids, my children, my family, not music, not nothing.
Nah.
So I did it a certain way, and I've gotten a lot of love. I get a lot of love in Philly. I was nominated in plenty Philly HipHop Awards, Jersey Music Awards. I go up New York. I get crazy love up New York. Shout out to all the artists that I deal with up New York, all my BX homies. And even homies in Brooklyn, the whole nine, and just anything that I haven't really like received, I don't place no blame on nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just certain things that I haven't been able to do that I would have wanted to do. You know what I mean? But I put the work in. At the same time, I still put the work in. Put a lot of work in, and that's why Porta Rich has like what he has around his name, and I get the love that I get. You know what I mean?
So the speaking on Camden, and just let's touch on the whole Jersey scene, period. Now Jersey's interesting because through my time, like just moving and shaking, I feel like Jersey almost gets divided in like different parts. It's almost like with 2-3 different states to some people.
Right.
You get North Jersey, South Jersey. Some people say North Jersey, they might say, oh, well, that's, New York. You get South Jersey, you got, people that might say, oh, that's the sticks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you got some people saying Central Jersey, but then I've heard people say it's not really a Central Jersey, it's just North and South. So like, what's your take on that as far as like people trying to divide the state, artists? You know what I mean? Do you feel artists from Jersey should be coming together more? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
In a sense, like,
absolutely.
it being divided.
If it was in my power, which is, just never, it's not never gonna be like that. But if it was in my power, I could say, hey, this is how we doing it because I feel this is how we gonna win and this is how we gonna be more powerful. For sure, it's strength in numbers. It's strength in numbers. I'm introducing y'all to people down here. We getting introduced into y'all people up there when we, cutting records and collaborating and doing stuff. For sure, it's more powerful. And as far as the separation go, it happens, man. It happens. And, shout out to you. When you mentioned that, the first thing I thought about was you. Because when you was doing D Place, and, and that's a venue that my man used to throw the shows at and have the shows for like the up-and-coming artists, you was one of the people that I can say that was like, no, I'm bringing Arsenal down. No, I'm bringing such and such down.
Money Malk.
Yeah, you was right. Money Malk, shout out to Money Malk. You was bringing the North Jersey people down. So you was one of the people that was, like a DJ, you just didn't DJ in like the clubs or whatever, but you definitely had the mixtape scene and all that on lock, building platforms for the artists. And you was one of the ones that was doing that. And it was powerful because I get to shake Arsenal hand and say, yo, I'm Porta Rich, I'm down here. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, wow. More of that, for sure, would have like helped create this scene that all Jersey artists complain about. Because all Jersey artists will say, well, Jersey, we don't have this and we don't have that. All right, we know that already. So until we build a radio station, why are we not strategically doing what needs to be done? You know, why are we not reaching out? Why are we not finding out who hot down South Jersey? Who putting the work in? Who would make sense for you to collab with? You know, because it can't just be anything. I get it. I respect the artist that's working hard. I respect Al. I respect the guys that's making noise, shaking in their areas, you know what I'm saying? And I've spoke about this online. It was a whole thread one time where Al was spilling about North Jersey and Jersey just being overlooked, you know, and us not having these radio stations like a Philly in New York and, you know, trying to get in other people's scene. And I came in and I commented and I was like, yo, listen, you know, with all due respect, don't forget South Jersey. We got solid guys down here. That's super stand up. They putting in their work. They good people, you know, and they could bang with the best of them. So it's like, let's try to make it make sense. You know what I mean? And I'll be off that. But again,
that was my whole thing when I was, you know, even like Shout the Ransom, when I was thinking out the box.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's
get the North Jersey people down here. Even when I was doing the shows in Philly at the Tacony Billiards, I was trying to bridge the gap. I was trying to get Jersey, Philly. You know what I mean? When I had my man from Helter Skelter, Rockin' This Monster, to come perform, like I was just, people like, you know, were shocked, like, hey, they really, like you really doing something different. And that was my always trying to think out the box. You know, Brooklyn, Crutch, shout to Crutch. Like I was just always trying to, you was
on it, and you was doing something that I can kind of like say like nobody was doing. Because you might have got other DJs that was building relationships with the guys up North Jersey, but was they connecting them? Was they putting them under the same roof on the same stage with the South Jersey guys?
Even with records, like I was, like people don't know behind the scenes, like I was like, yo, I think you would sound good on a record with my mans, yo. Put them on three-way. Yo, y'all need to do something. Y'all need to collab. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That was my whole thing even too when we was shooting the videos. You know what I mean?
I remember conversations with you where you would be like, yo, you might try to get a joint with Ran and, you know what I mean? Because you was talking to these type guys and you had relationships with these artists. And I'm like, no, for sure. Like, for sure. We're going to try to, you know, make it happen. And again, man, God willing, things could get better, you know, for the future. And we could just kind of like lead better and lead in the right direction for the younger artists. The younger artists that's coming up, you know, maybe they can connect more and, you know, realize that it's actual, like, real live power in that, man. There's real live power and, like, strength in numbers and, you know, just collaborating and the power of collaboration, you know, with introducing each other to each other's fan bases and stuff like that and each other's markets when they different markets. It's super power in that, man. And I don't understand why kind of, like, it don't get done like it should be, in my eyes, in my opinion.
So speaking on Jersey, give me your top five, man. You know, I know a lot of people always have a rough time when you think of top five.
And you want top five what, like all time?
Like just give me your current, who's shaking. You know, we could do two lists. Give me your top five, like currently active, and then another one could just be all time. You know what I mean?
Top five currently active Jersey artists, man. I would definitely say Al is wild shaking right now. Just, you know, putting on for Jersey.
Shaking, man.
Yeah, putting on for Jersey in a vicious way. Shout out to him and his whole unit. I gotta kind of like mention. I feel like I gotta kind of like mention Fetty, even though Fetty just coming home and he just hitting the scene back, but with what he's done.
Yeah,
and you see how it's like instantly like igniting back up again, like it's like almost like, you know,
he had that sound, that like kind of like that melodic kind of like,
and
you know what I mean?
And he had powerful stuff. He had stuff that went through the roof.
Trap Queen,
you know,
different.
A couple of them. You know what I mean? So you gotta like pay homage to stuff like that. I don't think nobody has done that. There's no other he's one of the most recent Jersey artists that has gotten records to be that monumental, that colossal. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to respect it. That's why you could go away the way he went away and come back and you still getting like the type of love instantly. You know, it's almost like it's turning back on for him. So I would stick Fetty in there. And I told you, I don't really want to I'm putting like artists like myself in there, artists that do like records, music, projects, because I feel like it's a difference with like battle rappers. I feel
Yeah.
like I would want to keep battle rappers kind of
So like the Serves, the Arsenals.
Yeah, I
kinda
would
got a
kind of like
different-
do them kind of like separate. Even though, don't get it wrong, like I know they do music too, and them guys like Surf,
Yeah, shout out to them. Yeah,
phenomenal, you know what I mean? Phenomenal spitters who holding it all the way up for Jersey and like that whole battle rap thing. You know what I mean? So major shout to all them guys, Shotgun Suge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Arsenal, everybody. But when it comes to like, I'm just kind of like naming the artists that do kind of like what I do. And again, Albial, Fetty Wap, I want to really shout. I gotta shout out Soul Child from down my way. She from South Jersey, young female artist right now, different, a breath of fresh air with what she do. Shaking. She's up New York now. She live up New York. You know what I mean? She up there grinding, putting her work in. Done did some tours, independent tours. Wild cosigns already. And I definitely think
I gotta check her out. I've heard her name. I gotta check her out, though.
Yeah. No, she putting in the work. I think she's gonna be phenomenal when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying?
Dope.
Throw her in there. Top 5. Because I don't really be
It's
tapped
tough
in.
because you got
And I'm from a
Ransom.
different area. I don't be tapped in with everybody up there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Ransom still active. You got some, he doing a lot of joints. She done records with like 38 Special.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
Ransom is crazy with it. He from, and again, I can't sit here and lie and say I listen to a bunch of, certain artists who I don't. You know what I mean? I don't really listen to a lot of artists because I'm constantly focused on my craft, and I never really want to get too distracted and get off what I'm trying to create and what I'm trying, master. But definitely Ransom is somebody who's definitely.
It's artists that work
it
it like it's the Big Ooze out there. It's the Hard Luck.
Hard Luck is another one shaking from up North Jersey.
Yeah, it's definitely
And myself.
Nobody else.
And myself. I would be foolish not to mention myself. Again, like I said, I'm from a small place.
Yeah.
I got 17
sure.
years in the music game. Independent artist. We've put the pain in. We've put the work in. We've put the money up with the pain. You know what I'm saying? To just stating, like, showing that we believe in what we do. And we're not waiting for nobody. I think all of that is major. We got joints. We got joints with Havoc. I got joints with Vinny Idol, all crazy. You know what I'm saying? And just the catalog of work. I wouldn't hesitate to put my catalog up against anybody. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that kind of like we even talking about right now, to be honest. Anybody
you got
we've
joints for sure.
Shout out to the DJs. Shout out to the DJs that have supported, my music and records over the years that always tell me, like, Rich, you got joints. You got joints that should have been out of here. I mean, to be honest, you could go to my YouTube. You could go to my YouTube and see the comments. And the comments say it for themselves. And it's not on one joint. It's on a lot of joints where the comments is like, yo, I don't know why this man, the numbers be looking the way they look, and I don't know why my man ain't, whatever. So myself, man, I feel like I could bang with anybody, man. I feel like I could bang with anybody, and I'm willing to, I'd be willing to sit down and play my catalog with anybody.
Right. So who, like, you being an OG from Camden, I don't know, like, who are, like, right now, some young talents you would say, like, you know what, like, they got it right now, or they might be next. Cause I know, me being from the area, close to Camden, I would hear the Shocks.
Right.
The Big Lou's.
My thing is this, right? My thing is this. Like, when I mention top 5s and stuff like that, or who's working the hardest in Camden, stuff like that, or who's, just the craziest right now, it's a difference when I give you the people who actually putting in the work and the people, because I gotta call a spade, versus like my favorite artists. I got favorite artists from my city, but they don't really work as much as I would like to see them working. I feel like we don't
take it as serious.
We don't, for whatever reason, we just don't hear enough of them. And every time they stuck something out there though, it go through the roof. People say it, so, but again, I think, I definitely gotta mention Soul Child again. You know what I mean? I think she's one of the youngest and, really putting in the work, really putting in the pain and, moving how she supposed to move. It's working out for her. You could definitely shout, Mir Fontaine, had a crazy wave. doing some stuff. Shout out to Mir, you know, we've done some stuff. And then you got Funch. You got guys like Funch that, you know.
Shout out to Funch, yeah.
You know, been doing it, then had crazy runs and got a legacy of his own. Some of the younger artists, I like Halo Land. I like Nia G. When Nia G was running, doing what she was doing. I like everybody in Halo Land. I like Trap. I like Crizzy. Crizzy is another member of like the original Halo Land umbrella that I like. You know, they young street rappers. You know what I mean? And they do what they do. It's a lot, man. I got a lot of, again, my favorites would be different from the people who I feel that's out here putting in the work right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope. I wanted to touch base on something that was online. Like, I want to say, like, it was a little controversy. Like, I've been coming across this social media, of course, it's just crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So you being Puerto Rican, and you grew up in you would say a predominantly black section of Camden.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
There was like some controversy with people using the N-word.
For sure.
I know like people were trying to get on like Fat Joe. Then I would take it leave a different direction a little bit too. They were saying like how Puerto Ricans, they felt like some people were saying like, you know, they were around from the beginning. It was like the whole thing with, who's my man from that, he been doing a lot of interviews. He been doing, dang, man, I lost track of who he is. He been on Vlad a lot.
Right.
And he was kind of going back and forth with like, you know, I know it was a thing with like Joe.
Oh, you talking about Lord Jamar?
Lord Jamar.
Yeah,
Lord Jamar.
Yeah, I remember that whole situation.
Like just touch on that, like, you know, like what's your take on that? You know, a lot of people feel like, it's kind of like, I know it was kind of like touchy in a sense where people didn't really want to like, it's
delicate for sure. It's delicate for sure because of, you know, the history of the word with like black people, where it derives from. You know, it derives from a nasty place. It derives from ugly things that happened to black folks, you know, and the word was being just utilized in a very negative fashion, right? So I understand black folks gripe with it, right? I understand like the people who feel away with it, especially like, you know, shout to the South. Shout to the people in the South who didn't grow up kind of like how we grew up out here up north, where like in New York and in New Jersey, where I'm from, the word was, it was just a word that was thrown around like in everyday lingo, everyday ebonics. When I was growing up, I was every nigga in the book. I was a young Spanish nigga, and whether it was, and that's my nigga, that's my little Spanish nigga, you know what I mean? Or dirty little Spanish nigga.
Yeah.
Everything was, to be honest, and I'm from Camden, New Jersey, you can ask anybody from Camden, was the word nigga heavy in like the vocabulary coming up. It was heavy. It was to the point where like, again, all my friends was black. So every day, I'm they nigga. You know what I mean? I'm a crazy nigga. I'm a funny nigga. I'm a short nigga. I'm a fast nigga. Mm-hmm. So before you know it, I'm utilizing it. I'm using it for years because you know, and it was a term of endearment for the most part, you know, for years. But at the same time, just being where we at now, and I'm just being 100, right? Just being where we at now, you know, we in a, like the state of time right now, just where like racial tension is at, right? Everything that's going on with, you know, foul leaders that almost like promote and want division, right? Yeah. They want people to be divided. It's like you gotta kind of like be mindful, you know. And again, like when I mentioned the South, me personally, I would try to be mindful and be respectful, you know, when I'm
going certain spots.
Even period for me, because of all the nonsense going on around the word. I don't need to use it. I feel like I'm intelligent. I feel like, you know, and I got friends, you know, shout to my supervisor. I got friends that kind of like felt away when they would hear me say it just constantly. And it wasn't like that they felt that I was racist. They just didn't like the word. They just don't like the word. They not too fond of it. So as a friend, I used to always tell my people like, yo, no, I'm gonna work on that then. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna try to be mindful. And it's just about kind of like being respectful. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about me personally. I ain't about trying to be tough, trying to prove something to people. My thing is about giving the same respect that I want to receive. That's how I kind of like live my life. So I think we should be like somewhat mindful, but I think also vice versa to that is I think people should be kind of like somewhat mindful of maybe doing research, you know, to where somebody from. If you hear somebody slip up and use the word and you know it's not in a racial manner where they trying to like, you know, really like disrespect a black person or something. They just using it on some slang ebonics type time. And you know, you might not know that they from New York. You might not know that they a person that grew up in Jersey. You know, I think you should be mindful because again, I grew up with the blacks. You know, like they say we descend from African Americans and all of that stuff. And I believe it wholeheartedly. Do I like to get in the conversation? Not really. It's a weird conversation. Race, religion, all of that stuff.
Even with hip hop, I've seen people say like, yo, y'all, you know, like y'all were kind of like visitors in hip hop, but then you got the shout to that there's a Instagram page that's always like talking about the history of Hispanics and like, you know, in hip hop, on how like, you know, a lot of hip hop got history from back in the day. They were around, like they were showing like some of the early DJs and when it's, you know what I mean, when it first kicked off. You know, it's like Puerto Ricans and just, you know, Latinos in general have made an impact.
No, as far as I know,
you know what I mean?
Listen, man, as far as I know, and again, I can only speak for me. I'm a certain age. I've been a student of the game and watching and studying and learning since a certain time. If people older than me know other stuff that they can mention, you know, more power to it, you know. But as far as what I know, yeah, man, Puerto Rican's been around. We've been around. We've been part of the culture. You know, we did everything. We
break dancing, the graffiti, all that.
We did all of that, man. Break dance. We learned how to rap from my older brother, who was a foster brother. Me and my brother, shout to Pull Out Mikey again, we learned how to rap from my older brother, who was a foster brother that my mom took in, because they was, you know, going through problems and stuff in their household and stuff. And he came in and he was a big LL fan. He was a Puerto Rican and he spit fire. And he taught us like, kind of like, he brought the rapping into the household where now we start picking up on it and we start trying to do stuff, you know, so, and we was like 12. We was like 12 and 11 years old.
Acting, I've seen you know, on a few movies.
Yeah, for sure.
What you got, you know, as far as that? Anything you, any new films? Yeah,
we got some new stuff coming. Sons of Sin 2 is coming for the people that checked out Sons of Sin 1. That's out right now. Tubi, Amazon Prime, Chase Street, The Recession, Money Lovers. These are all movies. Every movie I just named, you know, I've done with like different production companies, different directors. They all like have gotten me like just great feedback. You know what I mean? A lot of love from the people. So yeah, we still shaking, man. You know, I like the film stuff. Again, I done acting when I was like younger in school. I used to do all the stage plays and things of that nature. So I wasn't like a stranger to it, you know, and I've mentioned that to people in the past. But yeah, we got Sons of Sin 2 coming soon. And then whatever other scripts come down the pipeline, I got a table read at the end of the month for another joint called Cold Dish. And I'm working, bro, I'm working. I just want to work with good people, bro. I just want to work with good people and I just want to do good business because anything other than that is draining. Anything other than that is draining. It's just a bad vibe, man.
So you acting, is there a role that you were like, man, at some point I would like to play this character? Is there something you could think of?
I got a character that I do want to play that I'm writing myself.
Okay.
I just started kind of like laying my pen game down about 3 months ago. And I'm gonna definitely reach out to some of the people around me once I get enough stuff written, you know, because I don't really know what I'm doing when it comes to like writing a script. But I got an idea of it. I'm not no dummy neither. And I got a certain character that I do want to play, but it's a bunch of characters that I want to play. I would like to really like, you know, stretch my range. You know, they always reach out to the hood guys for like the hood movies and the hood roles. You know, they know that's gonna be.
So you'll be open to do like a comedy or something like that?
Yeah, I'm funny. I'm one of the funniest niggas in Nebraska. I got most comical in middle school. Seriously, I got more. Ask anybody
okay.
listen. They just had my name. Shout out to my city. Shout out to the whole city. They just had a whole thread on Facebook about a couple months ago. Yo, who the funniest people from Camden, New Jersey, in history, right? In time. I got tagged about 10 to 15 times by different people. Like, no, y'all don't know Porter, you know. And again, life sometimes. Life sometimes where it's hard to really like kind of like be in that space and be able to do that. But I think it comes out when you're around like your good people. You know what I mean?
So for the directors, anybody that's catching this, that's watching this,
Yeah. Comedy.
they don't always gotta hit you up to do like a street character. You can switch it up. You know what I mean? You got more range than that.
Hit me up for some comedy. You'll actually be surprised. I might be able to like add some input to the writing, like for like some funny, you know, I got it on the show. On the show we just talked about.
Right.
They thought I was hilarious. They thought I was amazing. That's what I got from people every time I talk to people. You know what I'm saying? So I'll definitely do a comedy. I'll be a doctor. I need a doctor's role too.
Which like it's good that you got multiple avenues. Now with the acting and even your music, you feel like your childhood, you growing up, it helped mold like, you know, your character as far as like, you know, it helped with the acting, it helped with the music, you know what I mean? Your environment you were brought up in?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I did it in school. I think I had to act in court. I think I had to act when I used to get caught by the police. So just trying to act like I ain't do shit.
Right.
So it was like all kinds of ways where like I was experiencing like acting. Again, hip hop definitely came into my life young. My city definitely had a music scene for the longest time, right? We've had spitters. Me and my brother was just talking about that the other day, where we had, you know, you had guys like Bojack, who was a phenomenal rapper from my city back in the day that just never really got his stuff off the ground. And a bunch of other guys, you know, who was like pioneers of this, you know, besides the guys like Shaquille, you know what I mean, Millions, other people who just had their runs and actually got to get out and put their work out there.
Camden got a big history with the music for sure, man. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? I was originally from Trenton and I used to catch wind of some of the artists and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Crown Rulers, Kick the Ball, you know, everybody familiar with all that stuff, rap and scratch.
So in your music, I mean, when I see, a lot of times when I listen to certain artists, I can feel it. Like, I'll be like, man, that shit, like, that's just deep. Or, you know what I mean, you can tell he's not capping or he ain't, you know, faking no. A lot of your music, it does feel like it comes from just like a real place, a real situation. You know what I mean?
It does. It does. When I again, we gotta, you know, I got the merch out there. You know what I mean? We running pop-ups and things of that nature. The latest stuff we working on is like a tribute to like my one of my singles with Vinny Idol and DJ Caesar. It's called, shout out to C's, it's called No Lawn for the Snakes. No Lawn for the Snakes, produced by Vinny Idol. Now we got some merch that's on the way, you know, based off of that record, because my music stems from real life. No Lawn for the Snakes. You know, when you come from rough places like ghettos across America, it was always this saying like, yo, you gotta keep the grass cut low. You know what I mean? So you could see the snakes, because it's always just, you just always got people that choose to kind of like just be what they want to be, and it's not good. It's not good people, and they don't do good things. You know what I'm saying? So No Lawn for the Snakes was a concept about that. Like, matter of fact, we not gonna have no grass at all. So we could really see the snakes. You know what I'm saying? So that's where No Lawn for the Snakes come from. And it was also like, it also made me think of the saying that we come from a concrete jungle, right? If you in a concrete jungle, if it's all concrete, then you definitely gonna be able to see the snakes everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So No Lawn for the Snakes came from that, man. And that's, you know, again, along with a lot of other music, man. Situations, you know about Situations with Robbie. Rest in peace to Robbie Parlow.
Rest in peace, man. Yeah.
Situations made me cry, bro. I got records that I've played in my car and they've made tears roll down my eyes and they make the hairs on my arm stand up. And it might not be a hit record. Maybe the hairs on my arm is not standing up because it's a hit record, but it's definitely a record from a real place.
Speaking on, like you said, situations, certain records that are like heartfelt. I know you did a record, I want to say like a few months back, or maybe it might have been a little longer, you know, about your son. Rest in peace, you know what I mean? How was that, just I want to talk about like, your it's people that have gone through like tough situations and hard times in life, you know what I mean? How, like, first off, like, how are you as far as like, I know that's something that has been hard for you, just how are you like right now, currently, how you feeling? I know the passing of your son was, obviously, I was there like during that situation.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody who was there for my son's situation. I never really got a chance to talk about my son and the whole situation, but it was a lot of good people that was there for me during that time, whether they was bringing food to my house, whether they donated, money towards like just my son's services and all kinds of stuff, my family. Shout out to my family. Shout out to my son's friends. My son's friends were amazing kids, man. Amazing kids that really came through. And, I got no choice but to be all right, man. I got no choice but to be okay. I got another son. Shout out to K.
Okay, yeah.
Rest in peace to my son, Richie Jr. Long live Quaddy. And, I got no choice but to be all right, man. I got my days. Definitely just, miss my son dearly every day.
You feel like the music has helped you kind of like been therapeutic in a sense? Like,
for sure. I got the song out there July 31st. Everybody could go check it out. If you ever lost somebody, you could probably definitely like relate to it. That's my son's birthday, July 31st. That was a life-changing moment for me. My son was an angel, man. My son was an angel. I was in a rough space in life before my son came. It was times I didn't even want to be here no more. I was all the way with crashing out. I was all the way on. It was a lot of nights at 18, 17 that I didn't think I'd pass 21. And I didn't care. I signed up for certain shit, the street shit. Again, I come from hectic shit in the streets. My only thing that I felt pain about was really like doing that to my mom and them. But for my son, I felt pain about doing that to my mom, depriving my mom and dad of parenthood and being able to properly raise their children. Because we was in and out of jail my whole motherfucking adolescence. My mom still tell us to this day, we ain't raised you, the jails raised you. So it was rough. I was in a lot of nasty spaces, a lot of nasty times where I didn't care, and I would have crashed out. I would have took a motherfucking bunch of motherfuckers with me if I had to, if that's how the shit was gonna go down, if that was the case. It didn't matter, and my son, shout out to my baby mom, shout out to my baby mom, shout out to both my baby moms, rest in peace to the one I lost, because my youngest son, I lost his mom too. But my son was an angel, man. My son was an angel, man. The minute my son came into this world on that day, July 31st at about 3:30 p.m., everything started changing. I instantly knew like I needed to change my life. I think I had a job like within 3 weeks I had a job. And I'm talking about just going raw turkey from the streets. Just, going raw, just like, all right, I'm gonna go apply for this job. I went through a 40-man orientation at a glass company in St. Vincent called AFG. Everybody who worked at AFG already know that's how it go. A 40-man orientation where they only gonna hire 10 people. I was always bright. I was always intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I did well, I got the job. And my son just started changing my life, bro. But it didn't happen overnight. I backpedaled, I went to jail. Those were, out of all my bids that I ever did, the worst bids that I ever did was the bids that I did when I had kids. Having my sons having to come up to them prisons and visit me and see me like that. And me leave them out here the way I left them. My oldest, especially my son that passed, I struggle with that on a lot of days and nights. I mention that in a certain record, because I got a few records about my son. I just only put out one so far, the July 31st joint, but I got a few records about my son. And in the one joint, I say something like, You know, that time we missed out on hurt double now. You know, my heart cold feel like it could, my heart cold feel like it need a bubble down. You know, because I think about all those times now that I went to jail on my oldest son, and I was still making poor decisions and things of that nature. And if I would have knew that I was only gonna have 23 years with him, it definitely, would have changed some stuff and it would have probably went a different way, but it didn't, and it took me a minute to change my life, but I did get it together. I eventually did get it together, and I did get to spend some quality time with my son. My son was living with me, for about 3 years prior to him passing away. You know what I mean? So I did get to make some memories with my son and do some stuff with my son, man. But life is tough, man. You got other people out there going through the same things. My heart goes out to any parent that had to bury their child. My only advice is say, man, is pray, man. I think people sleep on like the power of prayer and the relationship with, God.
Right,
and a source greater than yourself. I think that's important, man. And me personally, I've always had a relationship with God. I've always had a relationship with God. And right now in my life, I'm probably closer to God than I've ever been. And it's definitely due to my son's situation, because when my son passed, bro, I was in the hospital room when my son passed, right? When my son got to the hospital, because I rushed. When they called me, I got a call. He was like, yo, he was at his friend's house. He stayed at his friend's house. His friends called me like, yo, he can't breathe, man. Like, I'm opening up my job. And like, yo, he can't breathe. You gotta hurry up and get here, Pop. I don't know what's going on. He just woke up and he couldn't breathe. I'm rushing. And I got my other little man in the car because I take him to school too. I'm rushing. I'm eating lights. I'm just trying to get to my little man. And it's the wee hours in the morning. It's that traffic time where everybody going to work. So it was hard. I know it was hard for the paramedics to get there. And when I got there, my son was laid out on the floor and the paramedics was there trying to help my son breathe. And wasn't breathing. They just decided to get him to the hospital. Let's hurry up and get him to the hospital, And it's crazy because when they got him to the hospital, I was just in the room. I was in the hospital waiting room in the lobby with my mom and them and everybody. And somebody came out, one of the people that work in the hospital, and they ain't mean no harm. It was just me that misunderstood something, but they came out and they was like, all right, he's breathing right now, like, yada, yada, yada. And I dropped to my knees. Like, yo, thank God. Like, my son breathing, thank God. Oh my God, I'm thanking God. And the whole time, it was just that my son was put on a ventilator. So that's how he was able to breathe. My son wasn't breathing on his own. I thought I was like out the woods with it. And I wasn't, and eventually we went upstairs and the whole situation just went left.
Yeah.
The doctor told me it went from, if we could save him, we waiting on that answer. And it went from that to the doctor telling me like, yo, we're not gonna be able to save him. And now it's just a matter of when he's gonna go. It's just a matter of time. And at that moment, again, to bring it back to like God, at that moment, man, I just started praying, man. I just started praying, bro. That's all I know. And at that moment, that was just like the proper thing for me to do, because my baby mom was like, the doctor was like, yo, we seen this situation plenty of times. They was basically telling me like it ain't no need to try like fight it, to try to resuscitate him and do all this shit. They was like, that shit could be brutal. It does damage, it traumatizes people as well. You know what I mean? They was like, and we've seen this. They was like, you're not gonna make it. And my baby mom didn't want me to do that. She was talking to me, we was conversating and just trying to be civil and, be the great parents that we've always been, co-parenting, because we wasn't together for a long time. And I just started praying, man. And when I tell you that God wrapped his hands around me, man, God wrapped his arms around me in a certain way, because the old me, and shout out to my other son, because my other son definitely played a part in keeping me sane as well. I love my sons equally. Never loved one more than the other, none of that. I love him equally, treat him equally, and he definitely played a part in me understanding that I also had to continue the mission. But I just know I used to be in a place in life where I wouldn't have been able to deal with this shit. you know, and when I gave it to God, you know, the first like 10 nights, man, the first 10 nights of my son's death, I was just praying, bro. I'm just in my bed making dua. I'm just saying surahs all night. I'm just, you know, talking to God. Just talking to God all night because I had to do that to fall asleep. I didn't want to start drinking. I didn't want to start smoking all crazy. I didn't want to start doing that because I already knew what type of damage that could do. That wasn't going to help shit. I just resorted to praying, bro. And I can't hold you. Prayer, good support from the people around me. You know, shout out to anybody who I may have didn't mention, you know, because I didn't really want to get into names. There was a lot of people who was there for me, bringing food, like I said, you know, just doing whatever they could do. Prayer, good people, bro. My son, my youngest son, my family, is what kind of like saw me through, is what still sees me through. Last year was a rough year. You know, people say like, oh, you know, and it's different for everybody. Cause I've talked to people that be like, they lost kids and they like, well, Rich, after like 2 years, you know, 3 years, you might, you know, and I fluctuate. I feel like last year was rougher than like, I don't know, my son, he been gone over 2 years now, going on 3. And I feel like last year was like super rough, where like, he was just kind of like on my mind a lot, you know. You know, I went and got him tatted on my arm, on my forearm, both my boys, and I'm just grateful for God, bro. Get a relationship with God. I know me and you talk about stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for sure, man.
I just want to give praises to God, man, and you know, my good support system that I have and the good people that was there for me during that time, bro. And my youngest son, my mom, everybody.
Nah, definitely, man. Listen, man, you know, rest in peace, Lil Richie. Yeah, man, anything else you wanna you know, tell the people you got dropping, merch, music?
Yeah,
movies?
man. Yeah, we shaking. Nah, we shaking, man. You know, we shaking and we got dope stuff for the people, man. You definitely need to pop up. You know, if you see me doing a pop-up, not only the pop-ups, because I'm about to start doing something new too. I'm about to start doing, I got a name for something. I think I'm gonna start going back out the trunk too. So, and when I start going back out the trunk, I think I'm gonna be doing deals for people where I'm gonna be doing like free delivery. I'll come bring it to you. You know what I mean? Because I got merch that for real, people have went crazy over when I do have the time to be able to get it out there. And it's just sometimes I be busy. I don't have a lot of help. You know what I'm saying? And I struggle with like trying to do everything. I'm getting in films. I'm writing records. I'm trying to keep the records loaded for the DJs and my people who believe in my whole music situation. I'm taking the scripts. I'm popping up in the films. You know, the podcast was crazy. That was crazy for 2.5 years. Took, you know, just a lot of my time and stuff. And you know, it's not easy, but every time I've brung out the merch, people go crazy on it. The last pop-up I had, we did crazy numbers. So I got an exclusive new drop, like I mentioned, coming, No Lawn for the Snakes. I got an edition for the No Lawn for the Snakes, and I got some new zip-ups coming that I think they gonna like a whole lot. You know, it's great quality product that's gonna last you, you know what I'm saying? You know, I like stuff like that because I'm the type like, I don't go crazy on clothes. I like to buy quality clothes so I could keep it and I could get back to stacking, get back to saving and get back to building the empire. So I'm only gonna give people things that I would take for myself. You know
and
what I'm
that's
saying?
the ITD apparel.
Yeah, ITD apparel. They got to follow the
IG
page.
for that too?
Yeah, for sure. ITD apparel. Follow the page on Instagram. And you know, portarich.com. You can still go to portarich.com. I haven't put like the clothing the clothing tab on there. I'm not even sure which way we're gonna handle that. But definitely just follow ITD apparel, man, and follow me on all social media. Follow Porta Rich. You know, they could go to portarich.com to see like the new music, films, and stuff like that.
Last thing, we need a new record with you and Crakk, man. You and Peedi. Need a drink, man.
No, I just sent
I know y'all had some fire joints back in the day, so.
Yeah, that's my man. We've been talking. I just sent Crakk some tracks, and Crakk sent me back some fire emojis on like, you know, some beats that I sent him. I think he liked something out of the batch, you know, and I know Crakk be busy. We all be busy, you know what I mean, with life and all that stuff. So let's see what happens, man. I would love to, you know, make some magic with my brother and get the people something new. He's one of my favorite artists, always has been. So let's see what happens, man. Time will tell. But we definitely got new music. You know, shout out to Track Kiter. You know, you familiar with Track Kiter.
Shout out to Still, man.
Yeah, shout out to
Still blessing us with a lot of heat, man. You know, a lot of the background music, the intro, the segments. It's all done by Track Kiter. Still.
And they just sent me a new pack, so be on the lookout for that. And then, you know, me and C's always working, cutting records, doing stuff, you know what I'm saying? So be on the lookout. We working.
Definitely, man. Well, look, before we head out, it's that time. We're going to switch things over to the Blitz segment. We're going to see what my guy got to say. I got a few questions for him to answer, and we're going to get right into it, man.
The Blitz.
It's the Blitz. It's the Blitz.
You already know what it is. We in the Blitz segment of the show, in the Hype Cave. My bro, Porta Rich, got a couple questions for him. He's a Giants fan. I don't know how that happened, but we'll get into that another time. You know what I'm saying?
God.
Listen, we're going to get right into it. Michael Strahan or Lawrence Taylor?
Oh, that's easy. Lawrence Taylor. We share the same birthday, too. February 4th babies. And that's my man, Stone Cold Dog.
Okay. Saquon Barkley, of course, when he was a Giant, or Tiki Barber?
Just because Saquon Barkley is an Eagle now, I'm definitely going with Tiki Barber.
Rapping, acting, or podcasting?
I'm going to go with acting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to go with acting.
Now, you being Puerto Rican, I know you follow boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto, or Hector Camacho?
I'm going to take Cotto. I relate more to his... I'm going to take Cotto because I relate more to his fighting style. I love Trinidad too, though, and I love Camacho when he was doing this, but I'm going to take Cotto because I just relate more to his style of fighting and just what he did in the ring.
Okay. Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan?
Ric Flair, the nature boy. Get money.
Okay. 90s or 2000s rap?
90s, for sure.
Okay. Got one for you here, man. Mobb Deep or the Lox?
That's tough. I ain't gonna hold you. That's tough as nails.
Like, think
But-
about this, though. They got, you know what I mean? Think about the
I mean,
classic
but
records.
It's tough. It is tough because they both just phenomenal, legendary groups. But because Mobb Deep is actually my favorite rap group, to be honest, Mobb Deep always been my favorite rap group, man, since, you know, everything they was dropping, since the Infamous to all the new stuff that came after that, you know. And I got a record with Havoc, you know. Escobar Dreams, G-Money Nightmares, DJ Caesar, Porta Rich and Havoc, produced by Havoc. It's automatically Mobb Deep.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You being Puerto Rican, you know what I'm saying? You know,
Mm-hmm.
we like to eat
Right.
pasteles or relleno de papa.
Mm-hmm. I'ma definitely go with pateles. No pork, all
Okay.
chicken joints. I mean, same thing with anything else. If I do eat, like,
Ketchup or hot sauce on a pastele, or you eat it plain?
no. I sometimes, if I will eat it plain, I do like to eat it plain. But if I'm in the mood for like a little sauce, I do both. A little ketchup and hot
You
sauce.
know that shit gets frowned upon sometimes though too.
What, people put
Like
both?
people get mad at that. They be like, yo, you messing up, like even with the ketchup on the rice.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like, damn, yo, you killing it right now.
Yeah, I ain't putting ketchup on no rice though. I definitely ain't putting no ketchup on no rice. My mom is like, see, my mom could have had 80 restaurants if she ever would have tried to go into business with her food. My mom could do that stuff with her eyes closed. Some of the best rice I've ever had in my life, and I've ate at plenty bodegas, plenty restaurants from here to Philadelphia, Puerto Rican, Dominican. Ain't nobody touching my mom, and my mom always made rice naturally. Where like, especially when it come to like the red rice, you ain't need nothing on that. That's flavored. It's flavored up, beans, get it right. And even white rice. White rice, we do it either the red beans or the black beans, never no ketchup.
Oh, that's dope. Well, there you have it, man. The Blitz,
The
the Hype
Blitz.
Cave. My brother, Porta Rich, it was a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
You know, this ain't the first and last time, you know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
It's gonna be multiple times he come through.
For sure.
And you already know what it is, man.
Congrats
Tap
to
in.
my brother, man. Y'all see what's happening here, man. Shout out to Philly. Y'all see the Eagle stuff in here, man. You know what I mean? And
You know.
just shout out to everything my brother got going on and everything y'all about to see him do.
You already know. Salute.
Celebration begins.